Chief Justice, or is he former Chief Justice? Okay, former Justice Torkornoo, Speaker Baffoe-Bonnie, and then Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, who we understand might be sworn in tomorrow as the next Chief Justice. But there's a problem, isn't there? There's a real problem here in Ghana when we come to talk about Chief Justice. Speaker Baffoe-Bonnie may have been right when he confronted the minority's proposition that the vetting of Mr. Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie should be put on hold until such time that the matters, maybe he should have added Afenyo Markin's photograph, until such time that the matters being discussed in the court, and there are about 5 matters in there. There are 4 matters before the Supreme Court asking for interpretation of this and that. There are 2 matters before the High Court that makes it 6. Then there's one at the ECOWAS court. Okay, some people may say it's much ado about nothing and that the woman should stop. And I've seen people like the Honorable Atta Kennedy advise Torkornoo and say it's okay, go. I don't think Torkornoo is doing this for herself. She's doing this to set things straight for the future because we're building a democracy. J.H. Mensah went to court in the famous case of the J.H. Mensah and the Attorney General, not for himself, but to demonstrate that when a president has finished his term and he is fortunate to win another term, the ministers that were with him in his first term cannot be said to continue to hold office in the second term. That's why J.H. Mensah took out a writ and went to the Supreme Court in 1997. It wasn't about himself. Today, J.H. Mensah is dead. But we will keep referring to the case of J.H. Mensah and the Attorney General to guide us in the way in which we build our democracy. So those who are accusing Torkornoo that this and that, no, that's not what she's doing. She's trying to tell us that something significant has happened that has turned the head of the law upside down. That's what Justice Torkornoo is saying. She's not saying that I think the judiciary is for me, so I'm coming, the judiciary is for me. No, she's not saying the judiciary is for her. She's saying that something significant has happened that has upside down turned our judiciary. And if we don't check it, it will come to haunt all of us. Viewers, these are very important matters. The people who promulgated the law on causing financial loss to the state in 1999, they were told that this obnoxious law and this, difficult to define law that you are bringing to Parliament to pass because you are looking for J.A. Kufuor and Osafo Maafo, because you want to catch J.A. Kufuor for his involvement in the bank matters in Bank for Housing and Construction, and you want to catch Osafo Maafo, who was managing director of the bank. Be careful. Those people who prosecuted the law, they went to jail on causing financial loss to the state. So that is how we run a democracy. Let us always be careful to think that it may be on this foot today, but it can always shift onto the other foot tomorrow. You saw what the minority were saying in Parliament yesterday. A document came to Parliament yesterday for the approval of a lithium agreement. And Alexander Markin, the chairman, the leader of the minority, was telling the majority that this is the same law, the same agreement that we brought to you. And the NDC said they wouldn't do it. Today, the NDC have brought the same law to Parliament. Now, Ghana is getting less money. The lithium agreement that the MPP brought to Parliament, Ghana was getting more money. The same lithium agreement has come to Parliament yesterday. Ghana is getting less money. We were in this, I was going to say Parliament because I was there this evening. We were in this Ghana when Akufo-Addo's government brought something to Parliament asking for a tax rebate of 24 million for Dr. Nyantechi to go and build some infrastructure under one district, one factory. NDC said never, they will not agree. How can you say that somebody shouldn't pay tax because it's a Ghanaian business? This evening, less than 2 hours ago, Keselatu Forsen has brought something to Parliament that a business entity be allowed not to pay $10 million to the Ghanaian people. Yesterday, 5 Ghanaians died wanting to be soldiers. 6 Ghanaians died wanting to be soldiers. We are giving somebody who should have paid $10 million to Ghana government's Ghana Revenue Authority and the national checks, the national exchequer. We said that he shouldn't pay that money again anymore. He should take that money away. Is that how we do? That is why Justice Torkornoo is saying that. Let us be careful and look at these things properly. There is one of the Justice Torkornoo cases, for instance. There is Article 146, and it runs from, I think, 1461 to 1466. Article 146 is the impeachment of the Chief Justice and Supreme Court Justice. Article 146 is clear. it gives you a way to impeach or remove the Chief Justice. Then it prescribes an entirely different way to remove a Supreme Court judge. Justice Torkornoo says that you took me through Article 1466. That's 146 Clause 6. That is a prescription and a direction for the removal of Chief Justice. I am a Supreme Court judge before I become a Chief Justice. Chief Justice is by appointment. Supreme Court judge is my level of justice work. You have removed me by Article 1466. Therefore, you have only removed me as Chief Justice. You cannot purport to use Article 1466 to remove me as a Supreme Court judge, because the removal of a Supreme Court judge is clearly prescribed and defined in Article 1463. That matter is lying before the Supreme Court. Hear it, Supreme Court hasn't heard it. Maybe they will hear it. I'm sure they will hear it, but we don't know when. These are the things that Alex Markin was saying, that can we resolve these matters in the interest of clarity of the law and the application thereof before we come to appoint a new Chief Justice? That's all that Alex Markin was asking for. Can we hear these matters? These are matters that are germane. They are fundamental to the operation of our law under a constitution approved by the people of Ghana in April 1992 by a referendum. And that we need, as of necessity, to hear these matters. Speaker Bagbin is right. He says, well, Parliament has a job to do. We have to vet the nominee of the president. By vetting him, we have not appointed him as Chief Justice. So we will proceed with the vetting. I agree with that. I think many people agree with that. But now, Parliament has finished his work. His Excellency, the President, now has the duty to appoint a new Chief Justice. Should John Dramani Mahama proceed to appoint a new Chief Justice without these matters having been ventilated by the highest court of the land? Should he? Well, if we chant the answer in political tones, then everybody under the umbrella will say, yes, he should. And other people will say, no, he shouldn't. But should it be the umbrella or the elephant that controls our democratic existence? No, it should be the law, the 1992 Constitution. That's what governs our democratic existence. So the point I'm bringing to you, just a short one, I'm done, is that let's not perceive Justice Torkornoo's pursuit of these matters as claiming to own the judicial chair of the Chief Justice, that when she was giving birth to, it was for her. Or that when she finished Faculty of Law, she was told that you will own the Chief Justice chair and you can take it home. No, that's not what she's saying. She finds herself in a situation that she needs to do service to the people of Ghana by going to the court to ask them these questions for tomorrow. The minority leader of the day, Joseph Henry Mensah, was in Parliament one day when a list came from the Speaker that this is a list of the ministers that the President wants to continue with them. J.H. Mensah called his lawyer Akufo-Addo and said, Nanado, is this something that we can do? Speaker says that a list has come from the President that the people are called retained ministers. Is there something like retained ministers in the Constitution? Then Akufo-Addo said, no, there's nothing like that. The NDC said there's something like, said, no, let's go to the Supreme Court. They went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court determined that every minister's tenure ends with the president. And that when the president goes to an election and he's re-elected, the ministers must come through vetting again. And that's what we have used since then. That is why Ghana's democracy has been admired. That is why in the book that I wrote, I talked about the Supreme Court as being the backbone of Ghana's constitutional existence. Without the Supreme Court, we won't be here. It's the same thing Justice Torkornoo is doing. She's a Chief Justice. She's been told that an impeachment has come against her, pursuant to Article 1466. She goes through the process. She's very unhappy about many things in the process. Nonetheless, they remove her. She doesn't see the prima facie, the warrant of removal. She thinks it's wrong, etc., etc. She says, okay, you've removed me as Chief Justice. I'm going back to the court. They say, hey, no, you can't come. We have removed you as both. When the Constitution prescribes how you remove a Supreme Court judge, different and distinguished from how you remove a Chief Justice, is that how we want to run our republic? Answer the question yourself, viewers. Answer the question yourself.